Hello guys and welcome. Now, just to give you guys a little bit of news, if you didn't know already, myself, Brian, Sandel, Soren, and Urza are now no longer sponsored by Ghost Gaming. We had an amazing year with them. Long story short, the contract ended. I mean, we already pretty much knew this day was going to come anyway, but, you know, we represented them as best as we possibly can. They helped us out so much to get to all these different types of Splatoon lands and whatnot. And, you know, we are very grateful for that experience. And, you know, with all that being said, thank you very much, Ghost Gaming, for, you know, giving us all these opportunities. And we are now renamed back to good old Team Olive. And of course, looking for new opportunities. Now, as well as this happening, you know, there's been a little bit of chit chat within the community, especially on Twitter, where a lot of players have been thinking, maybe Splatoon competitive is probably going to die off soon. Who knows? You know, maybe people are just not interested because, you know, we're not getting exactly the best viewership or anything, or more new people coming into the scene, and a lot of veterans maybe leaving, and then because X person left, you know, the game is basically dead, you know, because of this one person leaving. Now, honestly, I am just so sick with just seeing things related to that on Twitter and just the huge bandwagon of people within the Splatoon community that just ride each other's horses because they said it, so they must also think the same way. When really, it should be something different. It should be something or more of a thing where you become more of a leader instead of just blindly thinking, all right, this person said this, so, you know, it must be what it is. But in reality, it's not. Splatoon 2 competitive is not dying. There's loads of new people always coming into Splatoon competitive scene. And stuff like this is apparent. But why is it the thing that I'm saying that, but not a lot of other people in the competitive scene is saying that? And it's mainly because I have a completely different perspective of how I see things compared to the other people. And the reason for that is because I make YouTube videos and I make content and stuff to actually get new people into the Splatoon competitive scene. Now, this is basically a shot. I'm just going to be honest, as we are in the Splatoon competitive scene, not a lot of you guys make enough content. None of you guys make content that people can actually find. Not a lot of you guys actually give your opinion in a way where people can actually find it and debate about it. Why all of this type of stuff is so important is because it makes conversation, it makes debates happen. You guys do this all the time on Twitter, but you don't make it into a video form where other people that are outsiders to the community that can actually find that sort of content and think, the Splatoon community actually has quite a bit to talk about. You know, I find that pretty interesting. So you know what? So let me go ahead and get myself within the conversation. That to a newcomer is very important, and this can apply to every single game, not exactly just Splatoon. Like, whether if you're trying to make some sort of community grow, debates have to happen so interest is sparked. As a Splatoon competitive player, why is your game interesting? Why do you play the game? How do you play the game? What sort of things about Splatoon do you have a problem with? What sort of things do you really love about it? Just all these types of opinions could be millions of different videos and different sorts of content that can spark debate, because honestly, this is going to be a thing if you do start making videos or make some sort of website or make something that is searchable through the internet. Not everyone is going to agree with your opinion. And you know what? That's okay, because that's just how it is. Not 100% of people are going to agree with your opinion. And you've probably already experienced that through Twitter. Pretty much why there's a bunch of Twitter drama and debates. But the thing is, if we can get that type of debate onto Google platforms such as YouTube or a website that can be searched up through Google, then it's going to only grow the community, because to newcomers, it's going to make Splatoon 2 look interesting. We have to make our game look interesting if we love the game and are interested into it. Now, there's one thing. You cannot be scared to get out your opinion, because obviously people aren't going to agree, which is what I just said. But for the sake of interesting debate and growing the community, it's going to be a bullet that you're going to have to bite. Be confident and say your piece. Now with this, as I just said, you know, like making debates and whatnot, getting new people into the community and stuff like that. This is a good thing if you are a competitive player, because it's a thing where you start, you know, noticing that you're building up your own little fan base or group of followers that, you know, agree with some of your opinions. Maybe some of them they follow you and they don't completely agree with everything you say, but still they find you more interesting than just the person who plays the game. The next thing I want to talk about is how this helps tournaments. And, you know, the next thing I also want to talk about is something a little bit more personal related to me, which I found in a Discord chat on, you know, it was pretty funny, but let me just explain. So basically, there was this one tournament, Splatoon tournament, that was going on a weekend. Now, for me, you already know I make a lot of content. I, you know, talk about my game as much as I possibly can because I love talking about Splatoon 2 and, you know, giving my opinion out there. Now, I was streaming at the same time this other tournament was going on, and someone had the audacity to say, "Oh my god, dude is so rude for streaming at the same time when this tournament is going on. How dare you do that?" Now, I saw this in a tournament organization chat. Now, when I saw this, obviously, I laughed because I thought this was the most funniest thing I've ever seen. And there was also a thing that kind of made me think, why do I have more viewers than this big tournament organization that's running, you know, a pretty, you know, decent tournament? And it's pretty simple. I worked for my viewers, you know, just like how any other Twitch streamer had worked for their viewers, how I had built my fan base by making content, sparking debates, and getting my opinion out there. And because of that, that's why people were watching me, because they admired the work I do, even knowing that there was also a big tournament going on at the same time. It should never be a thing where I have to stop my stream due to X tournament happening at the same time, because, you know, reality is, if I stopped my stream or wasn't streaming at the same time, they probably would get the same amount of viewership. Now, I'm just saying, for a tournament organization, it's not their fault that they may not get viewers or anything like that. But honestly, with tournament viewership, it is down to the competitive players to bring up that viewership. It's not the tournament organization that can build that themselves. And why I say this is because people tend to support people that they already know if they're in a tournament. It's that simple. Like, it's hard to watch a tournament when you have no personalities that you even know. Like, straight up, if you're just a competitive player that just plays the game, that's it. People aren't exactly going to follow you if you have no work behind it. If you have no opinions, no debates, no nothing, like all you do is play the game, then people aren't exactly going to follow you. There's basically nothing for them to support you or feel interested to get to know you more. Yes, obviously you could be a competitive player that's won a bunch of tournaments, but if you have no content behind that, then all you are is just a player. You may get some recognition, obviously, by people that are already within the community. There's nothing for people to follow about you. Like, if you're the best player in the world and you make content, why are you the best player in the world? Make debates about that. Why are you so good at the game that you're able to win all these tournaments? Like, make some work so people can follow through that, so that they find you interesting. And this obviously doesn't just apply for people who are just the best at the game. You don't exactly have to be the best at Splatoon or any type of competitive game to get recognition within the community or to be noticed by new people for people to want to watch you. Like, this applies for everyone. Now, just to give you guys a couple of examples from other games, and this is more for, I guess, for more of a personal experience from me. So when I was younger, let's say, like, I can't remember my age, like 13, 14 or something like that, I used to love watching competitive Call of Duty, and the reason for that was for guys like Nadeshot, like Scumpy. These two in particular had made so many videos, so much content on how to get better at the game, what competitive Call of Duty was like, what they do, and all that type of stuff. They made so much content on that it made me interested as a newcomer to continue watching what they're doing. Obviously, there was a bunch of other competitive Call of Duty players, but I never used to watch them because I was not even interested in them. The only reason for why I would watch tournaments of competitive COD was because of those two. It's kind of a thing where making content is so much more powerful instead of just like winning a big tournament, especially when it comes to wanting people to watch you or making people to join the competitive scene of any sort of game. And this is exactly why I stress so much that content is so important. Like, just to give one more example, maybe not even related to gaming, but for like real sports, like maybe football in the UK, where people only support teams that they know the players of. Like, I mean, obviously it's completely different of like how players were known back then. But within a period of where we have something that's called the internet, we have so many different ways of actually making stuff like this happen. So basically, we need to make more content as a Splatoon community or any type of community that you are in, maybe not even Splatoon. You need to make more content. This is how we get new people into the scene, and this is how we keep the interest of the game continuing. Now, I already kind of said this, but what kind of things should we be getting out there, and where should we be putting this sort of content? Now, no gameplay. No gameplay, please. It should not just be gameplay. It needs to be debates. It needs to be stuff that we're talking about. It needs to be something that can spark conversation. Like, if it's a video series, that's great, but that's for the people that you've already grabbed into your circle. Those are for the fans that you already have. So if you've looked at my channel, for instance, where you have Tearing It Up and Rank Extreme, that's for my people that I already have built. But if it's a thing for new people, we need to spark debate. We need to talk about our game. Where we're gonna put it is on a website, on YouTube, basically somewhere that's searchable by Google. So not on a Discord server and not on a Google Doc that's unsearchable. Honestly, I've seen this so many times where Google Docs get made, but no one's gonna go back to view them because the only place they were posted was on Twitter. No one's gonna go into Google, type in Twitter/Google Doc, why this person said quick super jump is good. People simply are just gonna write in, why is quick super jump good? And the first things that are gonna be searched up, things that are maybe on a website or things that are on YouTube, usually YouTube. Like, people are gonna ask questions in the search bar, and it's gonna be things like that are gonna be searched up. You're not going to Google search something and find a Discord to get your answer. Like, the majority of the time, people don't join servers for that. People join servers if they're already into a community that already know that, hey, resources are in this specific place. But for a new person, it's not that simple. Usually as a new person, people gotta tell you that that sort of resource is there. So basically, all kinds of resources should always be searchable by Google. It will only help newer players out, and it'll be a lot less stressful for them. As I've said, there's not a lot of it on YouTube, so we can spark many different types of conversations about our game to make it seem interesting. And by doing this more, we will only be just growing the community. So honestly, that is my thoughts. If you want to grow the Splatoon community, that's what we gotta do. We have to make content. You look at Smash, there's loads of different content about everything about the game. If you look at CSGO, there's loads of content about the game for you to learn about it. If you look at Fortnite, the same thing. Loads of different content about why the game is so cool and interesting, and that's why more and more people play it every single day. With any game, honestly, to build a competitive scene, it has to have content behind it. Like, even Melee, like, if you saw Melee beforehand, the only reason it grew is because of the love of the game. People made content for it, and you can find information about the game in all different types of ways. Like, it really needs to be a thing where it needs to be more us than in the developers itself, which obviously Nintendo is responsible for that. Like, obviously Nintendo can do a bunch of different things to grow the competitive scene and make Splatoon esports, but they can only do so much. Like, obviously they're making a world champs for us. They made a European champ, you know, Japanese championship for Splatoon, and they've done a really good job with that. Besides from, obviously, for Europe, I wish it wasn't just, you know, separated by countries and all that, and it was a thing where for Europe we can play with anybody we want within Europe. I would love the system to be that if, you know, any people from Nintendo are watching. Reality is, for the community to grow, it needs to be more us. Like, the only thing that Nintendo doesn't do that other companies do in terms of like making a game more esports varianted is making the prize money. Like, obviously money is going to be the biggest motivator to make people want to play a game competitively, because you look at every other game, developers of the game or the company, whichever, always bring out money. And in that sense, for new people, they look at that and say, oh, maybe I should start playing competitive. But you know, this is Nintendo we're talking about. Like, it would be sick if they did do that, but it could be a thing that we can't expect that from Nintendo. And I just look at things like Smash that, you know, they didn't exactly have to wait for Nintendo to give it money. Like, they spent a lot of time building their community for those types of tournaments to have better payouts. So, you know, again, lastly, I'm gonna say again, we need to make content. We need to, if we want to make the community grow, we need to increase viewership for the community. And, you know, we need to make our game look interesting, guys. I mean, that is honestly all I have to say for this video. And, yeah, that's just a big rant for you guys. And, you know, hopefully this is a good motivator for anybody that's, you know, has, you know, wanted to actually do that same thing that I'm trying to do. So it's good for sponsors also. I think, you know, sponsors really do like content. I'm just saying. But anyways, yeah, that's all I've got to say for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did and, you know, helped you out and motivated you or made you interested in Splatoon, then please go ahead, make like, favorite, comment, and subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. Follow me on Twitter and Twitch, both in the description below. Do it for both if you're feeling generous. Make sure to hit the bell notification button if you haven't already next to the subscription button. And, you know, and go ahead, if you haven't already, consider following or clicking the link to my Discord server that is in the description below, where you can go ahead and talk to me and my Dude Society community. And I mean, obviously I just want to like leave you guys with one last thing. It's not a thing where I'm asking everybody to become a YouTuber and, you know, just become a Splatoon YouTuber, basically. Like, it's not the thing that I'm asking you guys to do that and feel obligated to do that in order to grow your community. But it's something in general where, you know, posting things about your game and, you know, posting resources like that is honestly the best way for us to actually grow it in the first place. So if it's something that you really want, then obviously you would do it. But, you know, obviously not everybody has the equipment to actually make things like that happen, much like I have the equipment like that. So, you know, that's all I gotta say, honestly. I hope you guys enjoyed. You know, if it helps, that's all. And yeah, that's pretty much all I gotta say for this video. Thank you very much, everyone, for listening, and I shall see you later.